I am here at the beginning of the Razorback track just up near Mount Hotham, and it's the first day of a 2-day hike over to Mount Feathertop, which I'm going up on the summit of today, and then going to be heading down into Harrietville tomorrow on the second day. So I've got about a 22k hike all together. So today's roughly about 13k's, and it's just an absolutely beautiful day up here. The sun's shining, there's not too much wind around even up here on the mountain, so at the moment at least it's really good, and the forecast is for really nice weather as well. I've just signed in at the little logbook here, which is just at the little shelter at the beginning of it, which is just over here behind me. So it's a good idea, just make sure you leave your trip intentions. This particular hike, because I'm doing it end to end, I've had to arrange transport. So what I've done is I stayed down in Harrietville last night, and I've left the car down there, and I have got a lift up here with a company that's running a shuttle service called Snow Dog Transport, a guy called Hamish, who I've actually used before when we came up and did the Falls to Hotham Alpine crossing a few months back. So that's an option if you're wanting to look at transport up here. He just runs a little van, and really good service. So check them out, Snow Dog Transport. So he's brought me up the mountain, just dropped me off, and just about to start getting into it. You can do this hike in a day. It's 22k's if you do the whole thing, and you've got two options. You can either do a return back to the same point here once you've gone to the summit, or you can do what I'm doing, which is heading down to Harrietville tomorrow. And the other thing you can do is, if you're staying in Harrietville, you can actually go up the spur from Harrietville and then back down. So there's a few ways to do this, but I wanted to do the end-to-end, so that's what I've decided to do for this one. Anyway, just about to get into it, and really looking forward to checking out what's along the way on this track. Well, I'm just getting into it now. I've just come up the first sort of fairly steep sort of rise, and there's just coming over that rise, there's some views of Mount Feathertop in the distance. So just the air's just so clear today up here. It's really good visibility everywhere. So really good so far. Now I'm just sort of heading downhill again. Looks like it's sort of just going to be sort of up and down a bit during the day, but we're generally roughly about 1700 metres above sea level for most of the Razorback, and then the summit of Feathertop is 1922 metres, so there's a bit of a climb right up at the end up to the summit. But most of the actual Razorback tracks at a fairly similar sort of elevation, so shouldn't be too many huge hills, hopefully. Anyway, it's really good so far. Well, I've just stopped for a bit of a snack break along the trail here. It's just absolutely magnificent today. The sky's just almost completely clear, and heading steadily towards Feathertop, which you can see just in the background there. So it's there was a few sort of bigger hills to begin with, up and down, but it's sort of a little bit less hilly now, but I'm sure there's a bit more of the same coming up. But just sensational today. Like, you couldn't ask for a better day almost. There's not even that much wind around. Just a bit of a light breeze blowing across, so it's just beautiful, and just got all these views out to all the mountains behind us. The visibility today is really good, so yeah, just such a good day up here. I've just been walking through this little area of all these burnt out snow gums from a previous fire. This summer, this area didn't actually get directly affected by the fires, so these tracks sort of have remained mostly open, but the fires did come pretty close to here, and there was a few towns close by that were very close to having to be evacuated and also potentially getting hit by the fires. But fortunately Bright and Harrietville and the towns around there managed to escape without getting any damage to the towns. But yeah, they did come very close. Anyway, just still tracking along here. It's about 20 past 11 and just been taking it nice and easy, taking in the scenery, and the day is just, oh, it's just so good. Hardly any wind around and just beautiful sunshine the whole way. Well, I've just found a nice little shady spot for some lunch here under a tree. I'm not at the cross junction yet, but I thought about time. I was starting to get pretty hungry, so just found this nice little shady spot and just going to have a bit of lunch under here before I set off for the next little section. Well, I've just arrived here at the Federation Hut campsite. It's just about 2 o'clock now. I've just come past the junction called the Cross, where this it actually turns off down to the Federation Hut campsite. and heading the other direction goes up to the summit of Feathertop. So I've decided to actually just come down here and set up camp first. Found a nice little campsite right here where I'm standing, and just going to get the tent set up, get everything in there, and then just take up a little bit of stuff with me in the pack to the summit, so it'll be a little bit easier going and lugging everything up. So yeah, there's a few campers around. There's a couple of rangers here today as well, so they're up here for the long weekend, staying a few nights. Just bumped into them and had a chat, and there's still plenty of time to go and do the summit walk. I think it's apparently about 1.5 k's from the junction, so it's about 2 k's from the campsite here up to the summit, and obviously 2 back. So probably just get everything set up first, and then get ready a bit later on to head up to the summit of Feathertop. Well, I've got camp all set up, the tent's up and everything is set up inside, and I am just about to head off and head up to the summit of Mount Feathertop. It's about 3:30 now, and still obviously plenty of light around for a while, so it's only about 2 k's up to the summit, so I'm going to go and head up there and check out the views at the top, and then by the time I get back, I'll be ready to get some dinner underway. Alright, so I'm just here at the cross, which has this famous tree behind us, big snow gum at the junction here. So I've just come back up from the hut and at the junction again, and just about to head up the summit walk up to the top of Mount Feathertop. So here we go. Well, I have made it up to the summit of Mount Feathertop. It's a pretty steep climb up the last little section from the cross up to here, so it's definitely the steepest part of the whole walk coming along the Razorback, so yeah, be prepared for that. I still brought up a backpack with some stuff in it, but yeah, most of the stuff I've left down at the campsite, so it was much easier going rather than trying to lug a full pack up here. So yeah, just great to be up on the summit, and just really peaceful up here. There's no wind, it's just amazing. It's just so calm up here. I think some people earlier said it was quite windy and got really cold up here, but it's just there's hardly a breath up here at the moment, so just been so fortunate to get that sort of weather today. Really good. So anyway, this is it, the second tallest peak in Victoria at 1,922 metres, Mount Feathertop. Good morning. Well, I am just about packed up here. I've just got to pack up the tent, and I've had breakfast, and yeah, should be ready to set off within about the next 20 minutes hopefully. It's about 8:45 now. I've only got a shorter hike today. I think it's roughly about 7 kilometres or maybe 8 back down into Harriettville, and so it should be, and it's all downhill from here, so that will be a shorter day today. I'd expect to be probably back by around about lunchtime, I think, so that was the plan. I didn't pack any lunch with the intention of being able to get back to Harriettville and grabbing some food there. So anyway, I'm just about to get the last of his stuff packed up and hit the trail again. Well, I've just arrived back at the Bungalow Spur trailhead. It's about 12:45, so that was roughly about just over 3 hours of walking, so that wasn't too bad. Downhill pretty much all the way, and it's saying on the sign it was actually about 10.5 kilometres to Federation Hut there, so it was a bit longer than I actually thought. Right now I'm going to head into the pub and get a nice juicy burger. I've just been to the pub to get a nice big burger and chips. I was absolutely starving by the end of the hike. So I've just come back up here to the trailhead at Bungalow Spur just to sort of cap off the hike. Yeah, look, it was just a fantastic hike all up. I would probably make a couple of recommendations if you're looking to come and do this one. I think if you want to go and get really good big views and views of the mountains and everything, and you were just doing an out and back, I would suggest probably doing the Razorback trail. I just think doing that in both directions would be really good. Obviously if you have good conditions for it, it makes a big difference because it can get pretty wild up there. Coming down the Bungalow Spur track, it's more just sort of like a bush type walk. You do get nice views on the way down. The scenery sort of changes as you get further down. I can see going up this walk it would probably be a bit of a slog because it is 10.5 kilometres up to Federation Hut and pretty much all uphill. So I think if you were going to head up to the hut and plan to sort of stay the night there, I'd probably go along the Razorback track and head back out the same way the next day. Obviously you can do both of these in one day. They're both big hikes. You're looking at roughly about 22 kilometres for each one. But I just decided to break it up because I wanted to take it in a bit more and just have a bit more time to enjoy it up there. So look, I just got really lucky with the weather yesterday. It was just amazing conditions up on Mount Feathertop and all along the Razorback trail. So yeah, look, all up I'd say this is definitely a great walk to do. It's just a really good challenge, and I think doing it in 2 days is actually probably the way to do it. It's just gives you that sort of break in the middle, I guess, rather than trying to slog through it in a day. Obviously you could move a fair bit quicker if you had a day pack on, rather than carrying a full sort of setup that I had for the overnight. Anyway, that's it. That's the hike done for the Mount Feathertop summit. I'm about to jump in the car and head back to Melbourne. So hope you guys have enjoyed watching this one, and I'll see you out on the trail next time.